I do the job.
That nobody can predict.
The job of intervention.
And simple conversations.
It can be testing.
But I know when I'm there.
When I find the right words, I can be the difference they need.
I do the job because of what the job can do.
I do the job for London.
Do something real. Become a police officer in London's Met. Search Met Police Careers.
Thank you for coming on. You have a very successful organisation called KickOff at 3, and it's achieved so much in the lives of young people. You've worked with the likes of Gareth Southgate, you've worked with professional footballers such as Marcus Gale and many others in the FA and outside. You've partnered with many different community organisations, and you've made a real difference and improved the confidence of young people. So one thing that's encouraging is that, Michael, you come from the standpoint of the police. Ashley, you're a very successful community leader that has engaged with young people who are at risk of things like sexual exploitation and drugs through the means of sport, and you've completely helped to turn their lives around. So firstly, I'd just like to thank you two for coming on. The first question I have is for Michael Wallace, and I'd like to ask about the story behind why you chose to get into the police force.
Okay, no, honestly, thank you for that lovely introduction for both myself and Ashley. And I think you just resonated it. This is a partnership, and the police and the community together. So just thank you for giving us that platform. But the police, well, to be honest with you, when I was younger, joining the police for a young black man or woman wasn't very cool, to be honest. When I was at school, I went to a school called Kelsey Pot School in Beckenham, and it was a predominantly white school, but it's diverse. I had some amazing friends, and I still have amazing friends from school. But it was a very difficult time because where in the area that I went to school, there wasn't many black families, many black boys, and I wanted to be a police officer. But unfortunately, when I came out of school, and I'm going to maybe go in a bit before your time, we had O-levels and CSEs. Well, now they call it GCSEs, but at that time, I didn't have the O-levels and CSEs, which now in present time is called GCSEs. So I steered away from the police, and many of my friends tried to steer me away from the police because there was a lot of there was a lot of community tension between the black community and the police. I went to school, so I grew up in Eltham, not far from where Stephen Lawrence was unfortunately tragically murdered. So at that time, there was that kind of resentment, that pushback from the black community. But growing up, and the reality of it is, and fast forwarded, to make changes, those changes I honestly believe need to come from within, and the only way that's going to come from within is if you have black and Asian officers, you have a multitude of officers, because London has become quite diverse. You have you need the community need to see representation of those that look like them. So hence how here I am today, where I tried, and on the second attempt, I unfortunately at the first attempt trying to get into police, I'm going to tell you a story. I actually applied to Hertfordshire Police, and they rejected me. For whatever reason, they have their reasons in respect to that. But then I applied to the Met Police. But it's quite funny how Hertfordshire Police are interested in me joining them. So it works in full turnaround. But by the grace of blessed God, I'm here today, and by working in partnership with Ashley, we are both making a difference.
Wow, that's extremely powerful. I like how you focus upon the collaborative partnership that you two have. It's really refreshing to see. So I wanted to also ask, what are some of the biggest challenges you think the police face in terms of race relations?
Well, The biggest challenges we have, if we want to be very open and honest, because of unfortunately we've had, you know, we're not here to talk about that because I like to concentrate on the positives, and so does Ashley. But the reality of it is the challenges have stemmed from years of unfortunate incidents. We have, like I mentioned just previously, Stephen Lawrence, which there was, so after that there was some heavy recommendations that came through the first report that stated that the police were institutionally racist. So changes had to be made. So, but that of course had big impact on the community and how the community viewed the police. So straight away, because it came out publicly that the police are institutionally racist, then that straight away causes a negativity because the community are looking at the police saying, well, you're racist. So that's a challenge on its own. And this goes back years where steps have been made and things have been, but you know, the reality of it, especially if we come into current climate, which I'm sure we'll talk about with Black Lives Matters, there's clearly some work still to be done. So not only have we got the racial element, we have a lot of pushback in the community around stop and search. That is something that's quite topical at the moment. There again, I'm not here to speak about individual cases, but it is publicly known that there's some cases where things have been looked at, and from a community perspective, it does not look good. There's always two sides of the story, and we have to remember, be respectful of the two sides, from a community side, but also from a police side. So it's clear there is issues around stop and search. And then where they're moving into that thing, and this is where me and Ashley are quite successful in doing, is there's a lack of trust in the police from young people from diverse communities. Then we've got COVID-19 where a lot of things are going on. We have a lot of mental health, and mental health is very big in all communities, but right now in the Black community, especially around suicide, you know, and these are subjects that we are touching on through KickOff 3. So when we're doing our football, we're incorporating the police and our community partners to really resonate, educate, and some strong awareness around a lot of the core subjects I just spoke about.
Wow, again, that's amazing. I just think one thing that I really want to ask you is that a lot of young Black men need role models, and yourself and Ashley are fantastic role models. So why do you think that it's important that young men see people like yourself and Ashley in positions of influence?
That's a very good question. Well, it stems back to there's a lot of young boys, and let's not forget we concentrate a lot on. There's a lot of time, money, and resources going to young Black boys, but there's young Black girls that need that support. They need that mentoring and guidance. But to your question, it's important, full stop, that you have good men and good women. You know, we're not women, but from a men's side of things, that the young people and the community members see people that look like them. You know, we're able to sit down and relate to their concerns, their problems. We're not condoning, look, there's a right and a wrong, and if you've done wrong, then, you know, but there's understanding the reasons why they've done wrong, because, you know, we're not judge and jury. You know, and let's not forget, you know, a lot of these young people coming from really challenging backgrounds that, you know, other communities don't really understand and get it. They say they do, but to really understand it, you have to live in that community. And this is where Ashley is very integral to our partnership, because, you know, I'm very much in touch with the community, but then I go to work and I leave the community. But where Ashley, he's living and working in those communities where he'll know more than I do what the word is on the street. So it's so integral that you have people like me inside the police and working with those on the outside, like Ashley, that understands the concept of really coming together and understanding community needs.
Wow. Again, another amazing answer. Right. So I also wanted to ask, how can the police and communities work collaboratively to ensure that there's fairness concerning the criminal justice system?
Well, that's a very good question. And I'm going to give you a very straightforward and simple answer. The bottom line is it's partnership working. There's too many people and organizations working in solo. And just resonate again what me and Ashley get. We're bringing the police and the community together in partnership. Look, we're not all going to agree because that's the way the world is, but you need to come together. And then we have this saying, and I know Wayne has heard this saying before, it's you run fast alone, but you go so much further as a group. We need to collectively come together as a group. Bit like, there again, I might say something that you might not understand, but it's education we need. But I don't know, you may well know this, but back in the day, from the Windrush of those from West Indian heritage, they used to do what's called the partner, which the partner is they used to collectively each week put money in a pot, and each week everybody takes a turn to draw money from that pot to support each other, whether it be buying something for the family home. It could be, as a lot of the Jamaican or West Indians would say, I need some money to go down. I need to go down to Jamaica, sort out business, sort out land, sort out their house, all those kind of things. And that's traditionally, that's what a lot of the West Indian generation still to this day. You often say, I need to go down to Jamaica to sort out land, sort out business. But there again, it just resonates coming together. They all used to come together, help each other, support each other. And that's what we should be doing as a community, going back to those values and supporting one another to achieve like-minded goals.
Amazing. Thank you. And another question I'd like to ask you is, what measures can be implemented at grassroots level to ensure the police force represents diversity of the nation?
Well, very good question. And I can give you a very another simple answer. We need to have equal representation at that table. That's why it's important that there's more senior officers at the table. But also it's important you have more, look, in the world of policing, I'm a police constable, and a police constable sometimes is you're lower down the rank. So you're not privy to certain conversations that happen at senior level. However, those further down, they're working in the community, they understand the community. So I personally believe there needs to be that representation where certain decisions are being made at that high level. They should be at the table, and that's where it's important. Where in football, at schools. I've just been asked to become a school governor, a local school, where they've said we need your community influence, your understanding to help us make those decisions. So that's why it's important for the police to have equal representation at the table at a grassroots level, but also at a senior level where they have the influence to make changes.
Wow. And the final question I have to ask you before I hand over to Wayne is, there's a young man that wants to be a police officer just like you, Michael. So I wanted to ask on behalf of him, what advice would you give to a teenager that wants to join the police force?
Really good question. My advice is, I would suggest, sometimes people join the police and not understanding how the police works and they struggle. So my advice is a young man, a woman to get involved maybe with police cadets, volunteering to get life experiences that can prepare you, because a huge concept of policing is how to talk to people, utilizing skills that you may have learned prior to joining the police. So I would recommend police cadets. I would recommend volunteering. I would recommend charity work, and don't be afraid to ask questions. With the police, you can always, if you're interested, especially at the moment, there's a big recruitment drive, and there's a big drive to get more Black and Asian and those from different diverse communities to join the police. So I'm more than happy if that young man wishes to come and see me. I'm happy to sit down and have a conversation. I'm happy to pinpoint and help him, because I'm also part of the Black Police Association on the lead for youth and community engagement. And that's one of my portfolios, is building relationships with the young people. So I'm more than happy to sit down with that young man and signpost him or her, because we want to get more girls involved and more young ladies involved in police. Please put them forward.
Well, thank you so much for being such a great interview, Michael. I'm going to hand over to Wayne Marshall, who's going to ask Ashley some questions now. Thank you.
No problem. You're welcome.
Hi there, Ashley. Yeah, great stuff. First question, I know you're really passionate about working in your local community. Where did that passion come from?
You know what? I think it was growing up for me. If I go all the way back to where kind of my life started and football started for me, I lived in Scotland for 2 years with my mum, and growing up in Scotland, you know, I was kind of seen as I wasn't one to kind of fit in. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm not the most social of people. At that time, I think I was one of the only mixed race people in the school at the time. So for me to fit in, it was quite difficult. So, you know, in order for me to fit in, I thought, you know, I'd do something that I enjoy. I played football. So I went onto the pitch and I played football with the kids in school. So, you know, from there, I'd done some volunteering with Arsenal, got onto the Kicks program with Arsenal and helped the young people around the local area of Islington. And I think just, you know, my passion for football and understanding of where I've come from and understanding where a lot of the young people these days are coming from, and we having that mutual kind of understanding, that's what drew me to really want to do community work. You know, for me, it hasn't been easy. If I'm honest with you, growing up hasn't been easy. And I know that for a lot of young people, it's not easy to this day. So, you know, if I can kind of give them my experience and let them hear where I've come from and the steps that I'm kind of taking to change my life, maybe they can, you know, follow in those footsteps and do something positive with their life. I mean, it is a struggle. It's a real big struggle, and it's not a struggle that you can overturn that easily, but it can be done.
Mm-hmm. You talked about having some struggles working with young people and how challenging that can be. Can you give us some experiences of maybe some of the challenges that you faced?
Yeah, I mean, young people, they're hard of hearing, you know? So, you know, trying to get some of my messages across, you know, I can talk to them for days about my experiences, but whether they want to take that on board is a different story. So it can be frustrating, but then again, I understand that not everyone's the same. Do you know what I'm saying? So my frustration, you know, give you an example. I had a young person that loved playing football. He was always out, you know, come to all my projects when I used to work for Barnet Football Club. You know, very passionate young football player. He was one person that I even put on my Instagram and said, look out for this young boy. But frustratingly, you know, whether that be because he's got older brothers in certain, you know, situations, he ended up going down that path as well. So unfortunately now he's in prison. You know, he won't be coming out for a little while now. So, you know, that was frustrating for me to see because he had so much promise. And you know, with the right guidance, and maybe I didn't guide him enough, and maybe other people that were close to him didn't guide him enough. You know, with that right guidance, maybe he could have been in a different situation. So, you know, that was my experience. That was my frustration. But like I say, not everyone's the same. And, you know, you can lead, what's that saying? You can lead a horse to the water, but you can't make him drink it.
Mm-hmm. No, I hear what you're saying. And I suppose what you're saying is that sometimes it's quite difficult for young people to kind of come through that process. But how have you managed to successfully help young people get through that challenge, through those challenges, through sport?
It's opportunity. I think it's opportunity. That's one of the key things that, you know, will help a young person overcome any life challenges that they face. You know, without opportunity, it's like, to a person's mindset, it's like, what can I do? Where can I go? So if you can provide that opportunity, then, you know, it gives them an avenue that they could go down and really experience different things. So, you know, yeah, I think the key word in that is opportunity, and providing an opportunity to be able to, you know, to experience, you know, a different road, a different path to a different life.
Mm-hmm. And through your activities and through some of the things that you've been involved with in getting young people to participate in sport, can you tell us some of your greatest maybe successes, if you want to put it like that?
Greatest successes? Yeah, I mean, one of my earliest ones was, like Mike said, you know, the inclusion of females in football is quite difficult. So one of the key things that I worked on back in the day when I used to work for Barnet Football Club was how we could engage more females in the sport. And one of the things that we used to have a kicks finale, and used to go to different stadiums and whatnot and play in a finale against all the different kicks teams. I actually put together the first female kicks team for Barnet Football Club. And I took them to, I was up north somewhere, I think it was Wolverhampton. And they got to play in a stadium, and, you know, it's a different kind of experience for them. So that's one of my key things of achievement that I like to you know, to explain. But I'm trying to think of other ones. I think there's been so many.
So what about KickOff for free, man? What about your achievements with that, man?
KickOff for free. Do you know what KickOff for free itself is an achievement, man? Yeah, just it's the engagement with all the young people, and being able to positively engage and open the minds of some of the young people. I think one of the key things that I will touch on as well is you know, like I said, the open-mindedness. A lot of young people that I've worked with, and I'll give you a specific group that I worked with. We took a group to Manchester back in the day when I used to work for Barnet Football Club. And this group of young people, they came from the local estate, you know, they were into certain things, you know, and their kind of experience with the police was negative. So, you know, with that relationship that myself and Michael have, I thought maybe we can kind of break down a barrier here, you know. So we got, you know, Michael came along, you know, we organized this trip together to Manchester. You know, the kids, they knew Michael, they knew of Michael, but, you know, they really got to know Michael when we went to Manchester, because they saw him outside of the uniform. So that was for me, that was a key area in which we was able to break down a barrier, because normally those kids, they wouldn't even, you know, think twice about speaking to a police officer. So for Michael to come and, you know, the kids to build a relationship with Michael there, you know, that was, I think that was a powerful experience.
And can I just, I know you'll find the question, just touch on that and just resonate what Ashley just said. I said to young people, look, and I remember just before, because Ashley was driving the minibus, and just before we set off, I said, look, I'm not on duty, but I'm still a police officer. So I just said, don't give me no paperwork. I don't want no paperwork. And the key for this is where significantly where the changes were, we booked a hostel in the city of Manchester, and myself and Ashley and Kevin Lima, who he's actually one of our ambassadors now, KickOff Free, we went there together and we said, look, okay, boys, we're going to go out and get something to eat, okay? You guys can go back and get something to eat, but we want you back in by 12 o'clock, okay? We don't want to have to come looking for you, you know, end of story, because you're our responsibility. And I remember to this, myself and I, we went and had something to eat, and then we came back, and there was a pool room at the hostel. Every single one of those boys came back well before 12 o'clock. They literally went and got something to eat, and they came back, and the whole evening we just played pool together. None of them wanted. You would have thought, oh, they would have thought, right, I'm going out. Yeah. They came back. We all played pool together, and for me, that is one of, I would say, to this very day. And I'm going to be honest, there's no disrespect to what we've done with KickOff 3, which we've done. For me, that's one of the most empowering things that I can think that say what we've achieved by that concept of relationships and building trust. They had the respect of us to say, look, we're giving you opportunity, we're taking you to Manchester, because we got them to play at Man City great training ground, experience they've never experienced before. And like Ashley said, one of the young men, if the person I'm thinking of is maybe he's in, so they'll never get the chance like that ever again. So for us, that's amazing.
Definitely.
That's powerful. That's powerful. So I suppose going back to when you first started off sort of KickOff at 3, what were the main challenges that you faced?
Main challenges when we started. I think it was, you know, getting people to believe in what we was, you know, out there to try and achieve. You know, unfortunately, you do get a lot of people that kind of just jump on a bandwagon for their own personal gain. But yeah, I think it's trying to convince people that we mean business. We want to, you know, change lives and create opportunities for the young people. And I think, you know, I always give credit and I always pay homage to people that are doing a great job. And I can't not sit here and, you know, pay homage to Mike, because he puts in shifts. You know, he works, you know, 25/8 on KickOff at 3. So, you know, without Mike's passion and his dedication to what it is that we're trying to achieve, KickOff at 3 wouldn't be what it is now. And, you know, thankfully, Mike's been able to build up great relationships with various organizations and people that are, you know, that genuinely believe in what we're trying to achieve as an organization. So, you know, yeah, I mean that's key as well. You know, Mike always touches on it, that it's the longevity of the relationships between ourselves and those that are working with young people and you know, are really doing a positive job within the community.
And you talked about sort of how the project has changed young people's lives, and you gave kind of specifics. Are there any other notable stories that where you can highlight that the project has actually changed young people's lives for the better?
Yeah, I mean, we can kind of talk about our ambassadors. You know, we've got a lot of ambassadors that we're working with, young ambassadors that, you know, they come on board now and they've got specific traits and, you know, different things about them that kind of benefit us and is working alongside them to provide them with the opportunity to kind of showcase that. So an example would be Sophia, a young woman called Sophia. She's a great writer. She's written a lot of pieces for us that have gone onto the website. You know, so that's another example of another young, talented young person that's come on board with KickOff at 3 and really showcased what she can do, and she's a real asset to KickOff at 3. Any other specific?
Well, what I'll just add to that is Sophia Eugenie, who I've known her from she was at school, and there again it stems from longevity. You know, the police often turn up and disappear out of young people's lives. I think it's really important if you try and keep those connections, and that's what we're trying to do with KickOff 3, keep that longevity, building, all that time you've engaged with them, don't leave them aside, maintain those relationships. Or, we know people move on and job circumstances, but at least pass the baton on to somebody else who can continue the relationship. But what I'll just add with Sophia, she was voluntary writing for us. She actually also set up our fundraising page, which we've had donations amounted to nearly £500, and she set that up. But most importantly, through her writing for us, she's been picked up by a journalism firm where because what we do with any young person that writes on our behalf, we upload their stories or their written work onto our website. So it's open for the public to see their work, and we say to them, make sure when you do your written work, you state it clearly. It's written by you, not by anybody else. So you're putting your own stamp on it. And her work was picked up by a firm where now Sophia has been offered, and she's started a journalism internship.
Wow.
Purely for her volunteering for us, utilising her own skills, but then somebody else has recognised those skills, and they said, we want to give you an opportunity to internship. Now, she never thought about a career in media or journalism, but through writing for KickOff 3, she's now thinking of maybe somewhere along going in that, because she's got that skill, that flair. So if we're talking about longevity, we're talking about, not that we do it for that, case studies, if they want to call it that way. This is a perfect example of a young person said they want to volunteer for us. They volunteered. We've given them a platform, an opportunity to showcase their own skills, but then it's led to other things. So whatever she achieves doing, which look out for that name, because I've told her, and I've told her parents that I can see her name going far. I'm not saying it's all down to us, but it'd be beautiful to know that we've played a small part in that journey.
You talked about longevity, and you talked also about the need for your ambassadors to kind of almost pass on the baton as well, which is kind of like a really strong sense of peer mentoring, and almost a sense of fraternity where people are becoming part of something, which is amazing. How are these aspects, are these qualities, and can you think of any other ways that these young people can develop these things to leave a lasting impact on their own community?
Yeah, I mean, so I didn't catch the last part of the question.
So it was really just thinking about, are there ways, can you think about ways in which the young people that have been involved in your projects can actually become, have a lasting impact on their own communities? That you've said, there is a strong sense of that you like to keep in touch with those, and that those that, just give an example of somebody who's actually gone on and done really good things. How can you encourage that so that the other young people coming up can actually have a lasting impact on their community?
I think it's key that those young people that have come through, KickOff, whether it be KickOff 3 or other organisations, they go back out into the community and really express and show that without organisations such as KickOff 3, for example, or organisations that have worked with them previously, that they may not be in a position that they're in now. So it's about, giving back, if you like, going out, giving back, and really touching the community. I mean, I think for me, that's the most important thing. And that's why I kind of wanted to get so involved with the community, because it was kind of the community that raised me, and certain organizations that gave me opportunities that I may never have received or may never receive in life. So, to recognize that and to go out and give that back, I think that's a very important step that, young people should take. Not necessarily they might not take it, but it's an important step that they could think about to really, help change and shape their communities.
Thanks for that. And lastly, just wanted to ask I suppose you both, what can we expect from KickOff at 3 for 2020 to 2021? Was in the light of the current pandemic as well, but yeah.
I'm going to pass this on to Ashley, and then I'll come in after Ashley.
Yeah, so I mean, in light of what's going on at the moment, obviously we can't run the finals that we usually would, but we do have plans to hopefully, touch wood, run a tournament on the 13th of September. So we're still obviously in touch with all of our partners and whatnot, so hopefully we can run something then. But for 2021, I think it's about the growth and providing more opportunities to the young people. So what we want to see for next year especially is a growth in female participation within KickOff at 3 and all of the other things that fall underneath the umbrella of KickOff at 3. So that, and again, just touching on the opportunities is really providing those opportunities to the young people. I mean, running a tournament every year is great, and myself and Michael have had a discussion on how we can move forward with that. But, because we've got so many organizations that we work with, maybe utilizing them and really giving the young people that we are working with, avenues through those organizations and kind of opening up their eyes to show that there's other ways, that they can go.
What I'd like to add to that is just two other points. What we've shown with KickOff at 3 is we're not one dimension, even though the football is very much the key in the cog. It's just, actually, the football is the easy part, to be honest. Football you can do anywhere in the world, let's be honest with you. As long as you've got a facility, as long as you've got a park, whatever, the beautiful game of football. But for us, it's the engagement and building up the relationships. And as we talked before about the longevity of what we were doing. But what we've shown, certainly during COVID-19, is our willingness to think outside the box. So, as you may well know, but to those who don't know, during COVID-19 we ran a successful spin-off at 3, which is a charity bicycle challenge that we couldn't run no football, but we was able to run safely via social distances, a bicycle ride challenge. And this is where all the family could get involved, not just young people that we work with, particularly for 13, 16. So we've done a bicycle challenge. Currently, right now, we're doing what was called Run Off at 3, which is a running challenge in support of the ACLT, the African Caribbean Leukemia Trust charity. So, but you can cycle as well. So we've been doing all that, but the real for us, I won't say too much at the moment because we're in discussions, but even though we're running all these great single events, what myself and Ashley want right now is we want to be giving back in the community weekly, because you're doing all these things, but they can all come together for 1 day or 2 days, but then what happens to them the rest of the time? So we now need to put ourselves in a position where we're delivering for these young people week in, week out, providing a safe environment where they feel comfortable to come just turn up, play football, play basketball, or whatever the case may be. So just before we actually got on, Ashley doesn't actually know this yet, but we an exclusive for you. We won't name who, but we were just in contact with one of our ambassadors that they're trying to source a facility for us to actually weekly run our football sessions under the umbrella of KickOff 3 in the local community. And they said they're happy to go out and find a venue for us and link into some of their partners and run something under the umbrella of KickOff 3 where those young people need people like us and what our organisation does to feed back into the community. So that's something, that's our plan.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you so much for being such a great interviewee. You gave us lots of fantastic advice, success stories that will not just encourage young people, but will probably motivate them to actually get involved in some of the programs that KickOff at 3 has, because it was just such a brilliant interview. And I can't wait to see what holds for this project. You know, you've already had Gareth Southgate there, you've already won an award from the Premier League, got recognition from the Black Coaches Network. I mean, you two both have a very impressive TV at this point. So
you've been
just
doing,
keep on going.
I must say, I just will give credit to you with Gareth Southgate. He was involved with the Ballers Football Club, which is our national champions in 2018. So that Gareth Southgate is more credit to what the Ballers Club are doing, which they're doing some fantastic things in their own right. So Gareth Southgate wasn't directly linked to us, but however, he's linked to one of the organisations that have been a success in winning our tournament. So, but all the other things, you know, the Football Writers Award, Middlesex FA, you know, and all the other awards we've had. But to be honest with you, and I'm sure Ashley will agree with us, you know, we're so grateful for the awards accolades, but let's not forget now, young people are losing their lives. And we all have a due responsibility that, there again, no disrespect, we embrace all the awards we get, but I'll happily swap any of those awards for our life. We're doing this for young people. We've got no agenda. We're doing it because we're passionate, and if we know that we at least saved one life, at least one, then that's all we want. So, you know, you've got all these great projects and things going on, but we need to look yourself in the mirror and say, why are you actually doing it? Are you doing it for the accolade? Are you doing it for the funding? You know, and you know, just the reality of it is, unfortunately, some people and organisations are making money for the wrong reasons. Look yourself in the mirror and say, what are you doing this for? What is your intentions? And if you can look at yourself in the mirror and say, you're doing it because you're passionate, you love sport or whatever the case, great. If you're looking in the mirror and there is not the self-doubt, then you need to honestly think, well, you know, what is this about? Is it about you or is it about the young people?
Wow. Well, on that note, I'd like to thank you guys for such a fantastic interview. I'm blown away by this. I'm probably going to watch it 3 or 4 times before I release it. It's just fantastic. But yeah, thank you so much. And we'll definitely look to have you both back in the future.
No,
thank you very much. Thanks
talk
for the
about the work you'll be doing in the years to come.
Thank you very much. Thank you both for having us. And please, that young man, if he wants to be a police officer, happy to send him away. We'd love to help him any way we can.
I'll definitely let him know that.
Okay, no problem at all.
I joined the police in 2008. My brother is an ex-professional footballer, and I very much come from a footballing family. After joining the police in 2008, a job came up as a schools liaison officer, police officer. So I used the theme of football to engage, to divert, and having those conversations with young people. In the year now, we've lost, I think, now about 80 lives, young lives. That's somebody's son, that's somebody's daughter. We need to find solutions. We need to work with parents. We set up KickOff at 3 in 2017.
So Michael's a serving police officer and he's got really good connections in the police. And Ashley is a community leader who brings together young people to enable them to play football. So they have created KickOff at 3, which is now spread amazingly throughout the whole of the UK, and I believe it's going beyond now, to raise awareness and bring the police, community and the kids together.
Young people got amazing skills, but sometimes we haven't given them the outlet to express that. So that's what Ash and I do, and we're giving young people a safe environment to express themselves.
The important thing, I think, is getting the police and the community and the young people together speaking to each other. So there's not so many barriers. Let's break down the barriers and get people to know that we're all just people, really.
In the last 2 years or so, we've engaged well over 2,500 young people. The power of sport, you're able to do so many things, and we've had some success stories come out of what we're doing. And that's what me and Ashley are doing. We're working as a group, not for money and gain. This is about saving the now generation. When you've got multi-cultures, faiths, all huddled together, hand in hand, glove to glove, that's breaking barriers straight away, without even kicking a ball.